Lanterman's Mill is one of Mill Creek Park's most iconic landmarks, but mill supervisor Steve Setnick says many people don't realize the 172-year-old grist mill is still in operation today.
There's probably less than 100 mills like this in the United States. So it's a unique building. The foundation is amazing. The mill that was here before this one washed away in a flood. So the whole building went down the creek. And when Mr. Lanterman built this mill, he said, no, not my mill. So that's therefore these huge sandstone blocks, 45-foot high foundation made from sandstone blocks. The walls down here at the base of that foundation are around 10 foot thick. The mill is situated in a very unique piece of property, this natural 23-foot drop in the terrain that's called Lanterman's Falls. You know, that's the whole reason why this mill was here to begin with.
Lanterman's Mill was built in 1845 by German Lanterman and Samuel Kimberly. It produced flour up until 1888.
The park bought the mill in 1892. However, it wasn't until 1985 that we started milling grain here again. We mill wheat kernels into wheat flour, we mill corn into cornmeal, and we mill buckwheat seed into buckwheat flour.
The mill is run exclusively on water power. The process starts here at the so-called heart of the mill.
We are down in what we call the wheel pit, which is where the water wheel is located. Our water wheel is made out of wood. It's all white oak. It weighs around 8,000 pounds. It's 14 foot in diameter and 7 foot across. The water is brought into the building from outside.
When operating, the water of Mill Creek moves through a series of 3 gates. It flows through this channel, called a penstock, and into wooden buckets built into the water wheel. The weight of the water causes it to turn.
We have to capture that power somehow in order to use it. So attached to the side of the water wheel is a big gear, and that gear interfaces with another gear that's attached to a drive shaft, and that's going to transfer the power up to operate the equipment we need to make things happen here in the mill.
At the top of the drive shaft is another gear with wooden teeth.
That gear, of course, is interfacing with a metal gear with teeth, and it's driving it. And that power now is being transferred down that shaft to those wheels that are driving that belt, pulleys, and those are going to drive 2 metal spindles that go right up through the floor. And those spindles will be driving the millstones.
The millstones, located on the main floor, are set inside these wooden vats.
The millstones, they weigh around 1,000 to 2,000 pounds or so. The bottom stone is a stationary stone. It's called the bed stone. And the top stone, which is called the runner, is engaged by the spindle to make it spin. And we can raise and lower that spindle, so we can raise and lower the top stone. We allow the grain to pour through a hole in the top stone, which is right here, and lands on the bottom stone, which is down under here. We can then lower the top stone while it's spinning onto that grain. Keep lowering it until the flour that comes out between the 2 stones is the consistency that we want.
The freshly milled flour falls into buckets. Once enough is collected, it's taken to the bagging area to be sold in the gift shop. Today the mill makes whole wheat flour, but back when Mr. Lanterman was running the mill, it made white flour, which added an additional step to the process.
This is where the flour gets sifted in these devices called bolters. And the bolter is just a wood frame cylinder with mesh wrapped around it, so that bolter turns, powered by the water wheel. So like everything else that works in the mill, it's powered by the water wheel. The good flour would fall through into the trough on the floor, and in the trough is a wooden auger, looks like a big screw, and it turns, powered by the water wheel, and it will push the flour horizontally to a chute, and that chute then takes the flour to those big vats we saw attached to the ceiling that would store the flour until it was bagged up.
Today at the mill, one can stop in and buy the flour produced there, but Setnick says that isn't the main product.
It's a byproduct of the fact that this mill is still here It's a historic building. Not only is it here, it still operates. And so that's the main purpose for it being here. Now, the flower is just icing on the cake, I guess.